What's up, guys? My name is Justin. We're here at Newtown High School, my alma mater, and we're doing some mental performance and mental skills work with Newtown High School's varsity lacrosse program. Super excited to be a part of this team. Having graduated from this school, the opportunity to give back to the school in this way has been such a privilege. Today is day one of their tryouts as we get ready for 54 days in the regular season. Really, from a mental skills coaching perspective and really the high performance work that we do at Valiance, we're bringing in ideas around identity, culture, values, and making sure that these guys have shared commitments to one another this year. Super important foundationally. Obviously, this team is super talented, but what we want to do is really develop the language that will take them through the rest of the season, really, the next 54 days. So, like I said, today's day one. Follow along to learn how we do this and how we integrate ourselves with teams just like Newtown. I think when we were talking about this to start, and Fiddy, you can remind me, there's questions around like, what is my job with a group like this? So I have a whole bunch of different roles, and I'll introduce a little bit around my background here in a second, but I wanted to start with the importance of why I'm here and the purpose for me to be here, specifically as a Newtown High School graduate, why I'm super excited to be amongst this group. I graduated in 2007. I played soccer here, and for me, as a soccer player, and as a pretty good soccer player, I always felt like there was a lot of pressure on the program. We were playing together since we were 12 years old, and the expectation was just win at all costs. I wasn't the best player, but I was a pretty good player. And by my senior year, that expectation had just increased in terms of the pressure, and we were supposed to go on and win it all. What I found was that kind of pressure influenced the team, influenced the leadership group, the captains of the group, and it made all of us play a lot tighter than we were supposed to play. And at the end of the year, we didn't do so well as a result of that. So the purpose of my being here today and my title for what we're going to be doing is to try to lower the intensity, lower the pressure, and allow you guys to play as free and as loose as you possibly can to be at your highest potential as athletes. And so mental skills coach, sports psychology, leadership and development. The easiest way to just call me out is just Coach Carotti, Coach Justin, but from a mental skills perspective or a sports psychology perspective, that's going to be our primary focus. So today, we're going to be walking through three things, but I want to make sure you get some clarity around my mission. Growth over everything. For me, this is how I live. Whether it's good things happening to me or bad things happening to me, I'm always looking for an opportunity to grow. And so I'm going to try to pass that on to this group here. So you know my central philosophy as I bring this up with you guys. I shared a little bit about who I am. I also run a practice called Valiance Counseling and Coaching in Milford. I've been working with athletes one-on-one for my entire career. We work with lacrosse athletes, high school hockey athletes, basketball, pro athletes, all sorts of athletes on high performance. So part of my work is high performance coaching and performance work, and part of my work is as a therapist. So that's a little bit about who I am and what I do. Where you can find me this season is on the sidelines with you guys at all home games. That's really the intention, is I want to be part of the group throughout the entirety of the season. Obviously, thank you to the coaching staff for bringing me on board here and believing in this work. The why is, as I shared in my story, I think that at the high school level specifically, there is a lot of pressure beyond just sport performance. You guys are athletes, you're students, your sons, in some cases your brothers. In many cases, you guys are thinking about going on to college. That can influence how you play, and that can influence how you show up on the practice field and on the playing field. And we want to be able to create an environment where that can be processed so that you can be at your best when you hit the field. All right, so for today, the three things we're going to come out of today's presentation with is understanding the difference between the identity of the program that Fiddy has worked so hard to develop, the culture of this group this year, the standards that we set as a group, and then the commitments that we make individually. So walking out of here today, that's why you have journals, that's why you now have pens. We want to make sure that we have clarity on this, because every single year, on the individual level and at the team level, You guys determine the culture. The team is responsible for developing these things, culture and standards. The individual is responsible for the commitments that they make, and so we will walk through this. But the coaching staff already has developed the identity of the program, and we'll walk through it, just kind of remind you guys how this flows. So this is very important. This will be the focus of today, and this will set the tone for the remainder of the season in an ideal way. Again, the identity has already been made. You're going to want to maybe write this down. The identity has already been made. The values is what we believe in. The culture is how we actually do it, how we feel it. And the standards are how we hold each other to that account. Raise your hand if you've seen this before, nice and high. All right. So please, God, tell me we know what this is. I'm getting used to your program, getting used to what it is that you guys work with. But this is the program identity, right? So this is what Fiddy and the coaching staff have already agreed on. This will stand the test of time, well beyond the time when you guys are gone. As long as Fiddy's in charge of the program, that is going to be the identity of the program. What we are deciding on today is that bottom tier, the development of the person. As we get into groups, we now start to define what it is that our culture is going to be about. Each year, I've talked to some of the captains, some of the seniors specifically. They've talked to me about the evolution of the group each and every year. And as someone who's played high school sports, I recognize that that can happen too, right? So what is going to define our group this year is thinking about what Fiddy's kid or kids who have played lacrosse are going to be saying about you in the program by the time they get to high school, okay? So what do you want the youth players within Newtown to be saying about this team just this year? All right, so today's day one. Obviously, I counted on Monday really as the start of the season. So we have 54 days to the last game of the regular season. We have 54 days to decide the culture. It starts today. That's the importance of a discussion like this. So you guys get the sense, right? So you have 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds coming out and watching you guys play. They're inspired by what it is that you're doing. You're representing the community in Newtown. Lacrosse specifically, as I know with a lot of the work that you guys are doing, is trying to be a holistic program. So by the time they get to high school, they've been watching you guys. And so we're setting that standard. I'm going to give you a list of terms. You only get to take 3 of these terms with you. So here's how it's going to go. Each group will spend however much time it takes examining these words and figuring out how does that fit in with what you think the culture of the group this year is about. You take the top 3. You can only take 3 with you, okay? Each group will decide. Then we deliberate as a team to figure out what are the 3 that we're going to take with us. We already know what the identity of the program is, but do we know what the culture is? Can we identify it? Can we speak to it throughout the rest of the year? This is going to make or break the season. The culture of the group is extraordinarily important. It may be the most important thing well beyond skill because you're going to face adversity, you're going to face wins, you're going to face losses. This is what brings us together. This is what keeps us together. Togetherness gets you the results you're looking for, okay? So, any questions on what has to happen? Just to reiterate, each group will choose the top 3 that they're going to take with them for 54 days of the season. That will come together as a full group, and we're figuring out if there's any alignment, if we share these same cultural values, and if we can agree. Sound good? Let's go. All right, so good news. Good news. There's one that is the shared one. So we don't even need to discuss it. Compete. So in your journals, if you have your journals, or just in your mind, because I know you're in a different spot, just in your mind, remember, compete. The ones we have to now discuss, 2 out of the 3 groups said brotherhood. 2 out of the 3 groups said trust. Toughness and confidence were kind of lagging behind. So now as a group, this is an open discussion. What do we do? What do we do? All right, so look, here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. You guys have 3 minutes to figure it out as a group. Come together. I step out. I come back in. Decide. Okay? Figure it out. Figure it out. All right, so these guys took forever to figure out their last value. So we did 3 groups, values in each. They got 2 out of 3. We're trying to figure out the third one, but it's really important as a group that they decide, because I don't want to be the one to decide for them. So we're going back and forth, and the more I stay in there, the more they're kind of like joking around. So I want them to get a little bit more serious. I want them to come together, and I want them to finalize it. So I gave them 3 minutes. They've been really fast so far, so I think we can get through this pretty quick. Let's see. You got a minute and a half. Are we close? All right. What was it? Energy? Energy is it? All right, go back to your seats. Good job. All right, so now in your journals, we have the 3 words that are going to take us through the 54 days. Again, 54 days takes us to the end of the regular season. As we enter into the postseason, we are going to have to remember this. The 3 words are compete, brotherhood, and energy. Compete, brotherhood, and energy. So now, here comes the hard part, because just determining the culture is one thing, but we have to actually understand what that actually looks like. So this is my job, right? That part, relatively easy, kind of fun. We can all say 3 cool words, no problem. But now when I watch you on the field, right, how do I know that that's what's actually happening? So what I want to do now as a group, and this is genuinely going to be a little bit of a discussion, we need to understand, what does it actually look like, right? What does energy actually look like? What does compete actually look like? And what does brotherhood actually look like? Because we won't be able to hold the standard if we don't even know what it looks like. Does that make sense? Yeah, so an intentional movement throughout the drills, communicating, competing, these kinds of things. So go ahead, guys, like jot some of this stuff down, because this is how I'm going to be watching you throughout the season. Go ahead, Luke.
I was going to say, like, celebrating.
So yeah, go ahead. Say, why is that important? Why would that be important?
Like, even if like you score against a team you're supposed to like score against, like just celebrating, being there for your teammates.
Yeah, being there, 2 different things too. Celebrating as a group and being there as a group are 2 different things. That's the kind of energy we're looking for. If I show up at games, if I show up at training, this should be what I see. I should be seeing movement from drill to drill with a level of intentional energy. We should be seeing celebrations in game and in practice. We should be picking up each other throughout the season. This is the standard. So we can't just say it, we actually have to do it. Yeah, exactly. So guys, you can compete in almost anything. You can compete in almost anything. Who gets to the practice field first? Who makes sure all the equipment is out there first? You can make sure that all your shit is ready to go, right? We could be competing in everything that we do, it's fine. All right, so that's how we show that kind of energy. For example, what about brotherhood? If I'm a 12-year-old kid and I show up to a Newtown High School lacrosse game, how would I actually be able to understand that brotherhood is happening? I was like, when I was a freshman and a sophomore, we were the top 25 team in the nation my sophomore year when we won states. And I remember being in awe as a sophomore about the senior class, because the gap in experience was like crazy. And I never really felt connected with them. So if you are a freshman or a sophomore on this team, or you just don't get a lot of playing time, and you feel like there's a group of guys who are just way out in front of you, we have to close that gap, because everyone has a role on this team. And there can't be a single player, if you're the number 1 player on the team, or you're the last player on the roster and you get no minutes, the reason you're here is to contribute. And so we have to be together at all times. The feeling that I had is something that I'm trying to protect you guys against. So the leaders of the group, I've charged them with the responsibility of folding everyone in. Brotherhood is folding everyone in. You don't have to love each other all the time, but for the next 54 days, you guys are family. 100%. Okay? This is what's called in psychology an implementation intention statement. Michael Phelps did this, I think, on a daily basis, probably on an annual basis for sure. When you write down your goals, you want to write down your goals and objectives in this specific formula. You have a higher likelihood of actually accomplishing it. So as individuals, what are we going to do specifically in certain moments so as to live up to that value? So I should be seeing pens. We're going to write this formula down. This is an implementation intention statement. As you write this down, this is the formula. Underneath the formula, you will write down 3 examples of what you will do to hold yourself to energy, brotherhood, and compete. So it would sound something like, when X event happens, Justin will do this specific thing to make sure we're living up to compete, or to make sure we're living up to brotherhood.
All right. For energy, when a bad play happens, I will put it behind me so I can live out energy and stay positive.
Excellent. Good job. Clap it up for him. Going first. Jack, nice job, man. Good. Next. Couple more. Go ahead, Luke.
I'll do compete. No one's done it yet.
Yeah, good.
When I have a long school day, I'll show up to practice with a blank mind so that I live out compete.
Good. Clap them up. It doesn't matter if it comes easy. This is all new stuff. There's a reason that there's not guys like me doing this for every high school team. This is unusual, right? The fact that we're even having this discussion is an unusual process, but this part of the process brings teams together. I'm telling you right now. At the highest level, everyone's talented. When you guys play other talented teams, that's not going to be the greatest equalizer. The thing that actually makes the difference is not the talent at that level. One last thing before we break. Juan, you good with a picture? All right, everyone come up here on the stage. We'll do a picture and we'll break. Front line, just come on, down. Good. All right, boys, have a good second session. Make sure this room gets cleaned up, and we'll get going. You have the identity of the group, right? So that was like the dig the well, hard work, all that stuff. That's top tier, okay? What we just decided on is the culture of the group. So the identity is already built, but every year the culture changes. You know, like 100%. You got different guys, you know, sophomore year, junior year, different culture. So they decided on 3 words. I'll send it to you, but brotherhood, energy, compete. Okay. They need to know that the whole fucking season. Okay. The whole season.
Brotherhood, and text it to me.
Yeah, brotherhood, energy, compete.
Okay.
They each wrote down personal commitment on how they will personally uphold that.
Okay.
So that's what we're looking for.